This is a build request. Yes, I read all of your comments. I do take the time to read all of your comments. There's many comments that one should go through, but this was a suggestion. I was actually planning in something different for everyone new to this. This is a modded class. Let me show you how to get it. Console players, don't be scared about this. You'll going to get this soon enough, as soon as the patch 7 launches on console in October. So this is also something that it is going to be coming to you as well. So essentially you are going to go through the mod manager right here, go to the classes, subclasses, go to other classes, and this is where you're going to be finding the Mystic class. I advise that you also take the Mystic expansion, because the Mystic expansion has the subclasses that we are using right here. So like the previous guides that we have made right here, the Mystic can do whatever that he wants to do. And if you want to be a monk, this guy is much stronger than the regular monks that you have on the base game, and it's immortal, because the idea in here is that you're going to be dealing damage at the same time that you're going to be healing yourself. So you're a healing machine. Very powerful. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about the subclass, the class on itself. What is it that we are going to have at level 1? And there's two possible ways that you can go around in here. If you want to have a little bit more of a tankier character, the Order of the Immortal. However, if you want to deal a little bit more of a DPS kind of monk, the Order of the Ascetic. What is it that this guy is going to give us? It's going to be tremendously powerful. First and foremost, the Psionic Resonance. After using your psi points, you gain Psionic Resonance. It increases the damage of your next unarmed attack by 1 per stack, and it's also going to heal you by the same amounts. We are always going to be using psychic points before we actually attack. I'll show you why, and I'll show you how in a little while in the gameplay section. And then we have the Flawless Technique. This is what it's going to synergize with our previous spell right there, or our previous passive feature. Because this guy, after you cast a Psionic Discipline, you can melee an attack for free. So meaning that we are going to be using one Psionic Discipline and or a one Psionic spell, and then we can attack for free. And this can happen once per turn. So ideally we're going to be dealing damage with a psychic power, and then we deal damage with our melee power. The fists, naturally, they always work best, or the monk weapons, they work best with different stats, which is why we have the subclass feature right here, which is the Psionic Fists. This give you 1 to 6 bludgeoning damage, but also they change the modifier and the attack rules and the damage rules for intelligence. That's why this is so important. However, the unarmored defense is that much more important as well, because while you are not wearing your armor, the intelligence modifier is going to give you armor class, meaning that we're going to get armor class from right here for like 5 points by level 12, and it's going to escalate as you level up. For more dexterity, with more dexterity, that's also going to give us armor class, and we are going to talk about that right now with the ability scores that we're going to have right here. This is how your points should be looking like at level 1. You will notice that I don't have any points into dexterity. This is going to give you initiative, and also this is going to be giving you armor class. Very much important. So how is it that we don't have anything right here? Well, because we get Psionic Disciplines from the Order of the Ascetic. Here is where we're going to be taking our Transcendent form right here. This is what's going to increase our dexterity to 19 whenever we use the Psychic brand right here. And then for the Psionic Discipline at level 1, it's going to be the Brute Force. This is going to be your bread and butter. This is what you should be using to start your class, and then let's talk about the character progression. Now this is how your character should be looking like at level 12. Let's talk about the feats. On level 4 you would have taken the Warcaster. We're always going to have sustained concentration, and our concentration, it is very important for us. Meaning that this is the first one that I like to take. As a matter of fact, every playthrough, everything that I do, I always take Warcaster first. And then the rest of everything, it's just going to be at level, the next consequential levels that you are going to get. You're just going to increase your intelligence to 20 to increase your attack rolls and your damage rolls. The psionic disciplines that you are going to need as a must, and in order of importance, like I said, the first thing that we are going to take, it's going to be the brute force, and then the transcendent form. Those two guys right there, you get them at level 1. Now, the second psionic discipline that you are going to get is going to be Crimson Harvest. Now, Crimson Harvest, we're going to be using this to deal damage and heal ourselves, because while we do have somewhat of a nice armor class, because of our the buffs that we'll discuss in a little while, it's still not going to be as good, for example, as the Sorkatin that we have built or the Bardatin, that those guys usually reach like 30 armor class and things like that, and this is just a little bit squishier, meaning that we are going to take a little bit more damage. So we deal damage with Crimson Harvest, we heal with Crimson Harvest, and because we deal damage with Crimson Harvest, and because we use the Brute Force to imbue our melee weapon, we have our attacks as a basic attack. Meaning that we can cast the spell, deal damage, imbue ourselves with more damage, and use our basic fists attacks. That's the gist of everything. That's how the build works. Those are the things that you need. However, if you want to have a little bit more sustainability, more DPS, the next thing that you are going to get is going to be Giant Growth. This is where we're going to be sustaining our concentration right here. Celerity is always useful for every single Mystic subclass, because gives you Surge of Action, very useful sometimes in some kind of instances. And then I took Adaptive Body. This just gives you a little bit more of a resistance, the elemental resistant on a reaction, so you're a little bit more tankier. And then the final one is all going to be up to your personal preference. However, my advice as well is the Psionic Skirmishing. This guy doesn't get extra attack, so the Psionic Skirmishing is going to give you extra attack. This is ideally, preferably, you're going to be using this one. We have a different build for this. This for dual wielding. We're not going to take advantage of this. We just want that extra attack right there. This doesn't require concentration, and it's just an extra little something that if you want to have, be my guest. It's very useful, of course. So, buffing your character, the most important spells to have. That's going to be our Psychic Focus, Giant Growth. This is what's going to allow us to have a little bit more of a reach, so we can deal more damage. And then you're going to have the Giant Form. This is going to give you more damage, and also it is going to give you even more range. So as you can see, you can attack from very, very, very far away from the enemies. Psychic Brand. I can't stress enough how important it is for you to have Psychic Brand. It is going to increase our dexterity to 19, meaning that we get more initiative, and also we get more armor class. Very, very useful. Psionic Alacrity. Extra attack. Very useful as well. At this point, when we're finished buffing a character, we still have 46 psychic points to deal damage. Ideally, the enemies are never going to survive that much against us with these buffs that we have right here. Remember also that you have your passive kinetic blows and the psychic blows. This can be toggled on and off depending on what type of damage do you want to deal. Either kinetic to deal more force damage, or psychic blows to deal psychic damage. So let's talk about the itemization. What is it that we're going to have? Remember that every single item that I have for you right here, it's on the video description. I'll give you some recommendations for things that you can get as you level up, but just have in mind that this is for endgame, and not everything in here is mandatory. The build is already established. This is just going to, in consequence, increase the overall effectiveness of our builds. The armor, it's not really going to be that important. However, as soon as you get to the Act 3 of the game, you should get the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation. This is going to give us the greater Kushigo counter. We can use a reaction to strike against any attacker that misses against us. So, very, very useful. As for the increase in damage, the Soul Fist, this is very, very powerful. 1 to 10 force damage whenever we deal an armed attacks. However, again, this is until the end game. So as you are leveling up, the best option and what you should be using throughout the entirety of the playthrough is going to be the Sparkle Hands, because every time that we deal basic melee damage against someone else, it's going to give us lightning charges. And while we are imbued with lightning charges, our attacks against metal constructs and foes wearing metal armor gain advantage, and there's a lot of armored people in this game actually. And then the Killer Sweetheart and the Surgeon Subjugation Amulet, those are always a must for any type of melee class. The Helda's Boots, so that we cannot be knocked down, and then as you are leveling up, just for extra little addition, extra little something that it is going to be additionally cool for you to have the Boots of Speed right here while you are leveling up, extra little movement throughout the battlefield. The cloak, you can either use the Vivacious Cloak. I haven't tested it this completely, I haven't really noticed, but I think that our psychic powers actually count as a spell, if I am not mistaken. If they don't, it's really not that big of a deal. You can just basically write that without a kind of issue. Use your Cloak of Protection right here to increase our armor class just a little bit more, so that we can have 22 armor class right here. So that's the paper. How about practice? How does this guy work on the battlefield? There's quite a bit of tools that you can use to just sustain, have as much sustainability as possible. You are going to be using the Brute Strike to increase the damage, the melee damage that you deal. You can upcast this as much as you want. It is going to give us amazing damage. It's going to increase our psychic points, and then to deal damage, more often than not, we are going to be using the Crimson Eruption, because this, which can also be upcasted, this can deal necrotic damage, quite a bit of necrotic damage, and as a matter of fact, this is going to be area of effect. That's amazing. That is not only going to heal us, but it's also going to increase our main damage, because we are spending psychic points in here. And then because of the class feat that we got on level 6 that allows us to do a basic free attack, thanks to our spell that we spent right in there, we can use just one basic and armor strike. And then because we are buffed and because we have concentration on our, well, not concentration, but because we have the psionic alacrity, we get extra attack, meaning that we can get to cast a spell and 2 attacks on the same turn. If you have a hasted character, that's 2 spells and 4 attacks in one single turn. At the same time that you're dealing damage, you're also healing yourself, so you're virtually immortal. It doesn't matter, you don't care that you don't have that much armor class, because you have so much damage. And because of we have the Brute Discipline, we can also use the Mighty Leap to move throughout the battlefield at our leisure, because that's one of the best movement throughout the battlefield when it comes to moving throughout the battlefields. I can't stress enough how powerful this is. This is very, very powerful, very, very strong to use. I am in love with this type of monk. Anyways, if you like the content, like and never super appreciate it, and also that you're a gorgeous, beautiful person, you're indeed a gorgeous and beautiful, beautiful person, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, have a beautiful, beautiful day, and goodbye.